All right, YouTube, welcome to the Scrub Academy. This is the first installment of When It Was Good, Why It Was Good, and Will It Be Good Again? So what we're going to do on this is we're going to kind of pick out older cards that saw play, whether in the main deck, the side deck, or the extra deck, that were good for short periods of time, maybe even very good for short periods of time, and then really fell out of favor. Either didn't play anymore, or people forgot about, or just no longer were relevant. So for our very first week, we're going to start. My name is John, and we are going to start with Neo-Spacian Dark Panther. So Neo-Spacian Dark Panther is a level 3 dark beast type monster, which first came out in Power of the Duelist, I believe. And Neo-Spacian Dark Panther says, once per turn, you can select one face-up monster your opponent controls. While you control this face-up card, until the end of this turn, this card's name is treated as the selected monster's name, and it gets the selected monster's effects. So that has since been, not errated, but it's since been updated to target. So, old select is now target. So it does in fact target. But we're going to discuss why this card saw play. At a first glance, first reading it seems okay. But this card is actually very popular for a short period of time, but most decks, most duelists were playing it. The reason Dark Panther saw play, when Dark Panther saw play, was Teledad, Lightsworn, and Gladiator Beasts formats. For the most part, those formats were when this card was mained inside. Why? Was Dark Panther, obviously its effect allows you to copy the effect of an opponent's monster. So oftentimes what would happen generically is your opponent would leave a powerful monster on the board. You would normal summon your Dark Panther, copy their powerful monster's effect, and then use their powerful monster's effect without having to spend the resources or set up the situation to be able to drop your own power, to be able to drop that powerful monster. Instead, you just copy theirs with the Dark Panther. Some examples of that where Dark Armed Dragon, your opponent got himself into a position where he would have 3 Darks engraved, he would drop his Dark Armed Dragon on the field, banish the Darks one at a time to clear your board and attack for 28, I think, 27? 2700 attack with the Dark Armed Dragon. You would draw, and if you had your Dark Panther, you wouldn't have to have your 3 Darks engraved. You can normal summon your Dark Panther, copy the Dad's effect, start banishing Darks from your grave and clearing his board. What's cool about the Dark Panther Dark Armed Dragon situation is that with Dark Armed Dragon, just by the way the card is worded, you're more or less limited to the 3 pops, meaning you usually would only destroy 3 monsters on the field unless you had a way of getting more Darks in grave after you've already summoned the Dark Armed Dragon. But generally, you'd have 3 Darks in grave, special summon Dark Armed Dragon, banish, destroy, banish, destroy, banish, destroy. With Neo-Spacian Dark Panther, if you read Dark Armed Dragon, the 3 Darks engraved are only the summoning requirement. You can unlimited banish 1 Dark, pop a card. So if you have 10 Darks in your graveyard, your opponent left a Dark Armed Dragon on the field, summon Dark Panther, copy the Dark Armed Dragon effect, clear their entire board, depending on how many Darks you had in your grave. That was the coolest Dark Panther play, in my opinion. The other one was Judgement Drain. It was somewhat difficult to OTK. Not difficult, but it wasn't. Dropping 3 JDs wasn't as prevalent as maybe one would think it would be. So oftentimes a Lightsworn player would drop a JD, clear the board, swing for 3k, and pass turn. And they would end up with a Judgement Dragon on the field. Then you have your copy of Dark Panther. You're not playing Lightsworn. You summon Dark Panther, copy Judgement Dragon's effect, pay 1,000, clear their board. You've used their own Judgement Dragon with the Dark Panther. That was a really cool Dark Panther use, I felt. Mirror matches. Dark Panther sat in a lot of sideboards, a lot of side decks, because in the mirror match, it could copy names of cards to then fulfill your own uses with your deck. So, an example is you're playing Gladiator Beasts. Your opponent has tagged out and left a Gladiator Beast anything, but usually a Gladiator Beast Bestiary on the field. You summon your Dark Panther, you copy Bestiary's effect, name and effect, and now you have a Bestiary. Shuffle your Dark Panther back into deck with Test Tiger and special summon out a different Glad. It was a really cool way of kind of abusing the mirror match and using names of cards. And Dark Panther, that was one of the uses Dark Panther had. Another cool thing was with its stats being a dark monster. It's an allure target. It was an allure target, still is, but that's what it was used for back then. And it has 1,000 attack, meaning it was a target for your old Crush Card Virus, which was very strong back then. So you could summon Dark Panther, copy their Judgement Dragon's effect, blow the board up, set your Crush Card, attack for 1,000, set your Crush Card, pass turn. Very, very strong play. Another reason it was good was it got under Bottomless. So Bottomless Trap Hole was around, still is, but was back then too. You summon a Dark Arm Dragon. Now, given back then priority was a little bit different, so you'd be able to banish one dark and destroy one card before they would have an opportunity to flip their Bottomless. So generally, Dark Arm Dragon would take a card with it when it died to Bottomless, but Neo-Spacian Dark Panther didn't have that issue. They left their Dark Arm Dragon on board. They might have Bottomless in the back row. You summon Dark Panther, only has 1,000 attack. They're not going to Bottomless it. That was a very strong effect. One of the quirkier effects was oftentimes Stardust Dragons would linger around on the board because dad players would make it. Obviously, it's very good, prevents destruction, and it would be on the board. A cool play you can do is you normal summon your Dark Panther, copy their Stardust Dragons effect, and then you play a card that would allow you to destroy cards on their board. Soul Taker, Fissure, Smashing Ground, things like that. I think Dark Hole was banned back then, I believe. And obviously Raigeki was. But you would summon Dark Panther, copy their Stardust Dragon's effect, and then activate a card that would allow you to destroy Stardust Dragon. What happens is they chain Stardust Dragon. They say, okay, chain Stardust Dragon tribute, negate the activation of your card that contains an effect that would destroy a card, and then destroy the card. Which then your Dark Panther, who now newly has the Stardust Dragon effect, could tribute itself because the other Stardust Dragon's effect contained a clause that would destroy a card. So you could copy Stardust Dragon with Dark Panther, activate a card to destroy their Stardust, they negate with Stardust, you negate their Stardust with your Dark Panther. Kind of a cool play to get Stardusts off the board. That was kind of the cool uses of Dark Panther. It was a very versatile card, and I'm actually disappointed that it fell out of favor. I think there's just not a lot of use of it. So we get to the third W. Will it be good again? Honestly, probably not. It could be, but right now XYZs are really the go-to when it comes to making powerful monsters, and most XYZs can only get their effect by detaching an XYZ material. So they have, for an example, let's say they have a Castell on the field. Well, Castell would be a great effect to steal, but for the fact that you would need to detach two XYZ materials. So you summon Dark Panther. Dark Panther isn't an XYZ monster. He doesn't have materials under him, so you can't really copy an XYZ monster's effect and effectively use it. This is completely speculative, but if it's ruled that Link monsters giving you access to nearby monster zones, if Link summoning really becomes a thing, if Dark Panther can copy a Link monster and the arrows on the Link monster count as part of the effect, and you can make your Dark Panther would allow you to use nearby zones for extra deck monsters, Dark Panther could be really good. Very, very powerful again. I don't know if that's how it's going to work. We don't know enough about the Link mechanic yet to speculate, but that's kind of maybe something possible. Another cool thing to keep in mind, and something that Neo-Spacian Dark Panther could do going forward, is that it doesn't affect your opponent's monster. Meaning, yes, you target the opponent's monster, but that's just to steal its effect. It only affects Dark Panther. It gives Dark Panther the opponent's monster's effect. So, if a deck becomes popular soon that has a boss monster whose effect says this card is unaffected by other cards' effects, doesn't matter. You can still target it with Dark Panther's effect and steal the effect for Dark Panther. I can't think of any specific examples, but I believe that could be a use in Dark Panther's future. So as you're deck building, keep it in mind. Maybe you didn't know about this card, maybe you'd forgotten about it. I think Dark Panther has a lot of potential, and I think it has a lot of possible future uses. So yeah, like and subscribe, and go ahead and comment things that you remember from Dark Panther. If you remember playing during Teledad, Lightsworn, Glad Beasts, or any other time that you saw Dark Panther, and let us know if there were uses for it that we didn't talk about here. Additionally, maybe comment future uses for it that you can think of. I mentioned the Link summoning, I mentioned formats where boss monsters are left on the field. Comment some other future uses you could see for Dark Panther, and definitely comment when it was good, why it was good, and will it be good again, cards you'd like us to cover in the future. Thanks for watching, and go Scrub Academy.